Well, hey everybody, welcome back to another Photoshop User TV. We're the folks that give you the inside scoop on Photoshop and the great things that you can do with it. Also, we're brought to you by Kelby One, the fine makers of this magazine right here that Corey is holding up.
There you have it.
This is the March wedding issue. Make sure you check it out. We were in WPPI this last month. Showing all that kind of stuff there. That's great English that I'm throwing out right there. I am your host, Pete Collins, one of the Photoshop guys, and I have right next to me Mr. Corey Boom Boom Barker.
Boom Boom, yes, there you have it. I like Bam Bam better.
Bam Bam?
Bam Bam's better, yeah.
Well, how are you doing, Corey?
I'm good, yes.
We are the Photoshop guys, and we are here to help you get better at Photoshop, or just to show off and do random things that we really don't care about you. It's kind of a toss-up.
Yeah, it all depends on our mood, so, you know. I'm feeling good today, though.
Are you?
You know why? Because I'm feeling 3D. I'm feeling 3D. But
when aren't you feeling 3D?
The 3D will have to come later because Pete is going to kick it off, so.
All right, well, hey, last week I talked about cleaning up the frame in your photography. In really any imagery that you're doing, make sure that you simplify it and that it's a clear subject. You should be able to show somebody the image and they tell you what the subject is without you having to say a thing. If you ever take a photograph and you show it to somebody, you immediately want to explain it or you want to give it a title or these other things, that probably means that you haven't given it the most visual polishing that you could, so that's a very clear message that you're communicating. Because you remember, art, photography, imagery is all about communication, and it's a relationship, it's a back and forth. A lot of times we tend to do things because we like it, and we forget that there are other people that are going to view it. Mm-hmm. So in that, I showed you how to clean up some of your corners and stuff last week. And this week, what I want to do is I want to show you another technique, something that you need to think about in order to craft the image.
That is either a very little girl or a huge rabbit.
It's both a little girl and a huge rabbit. And it weighed, we were doing a photo shoot out there with goats and all that, and they had baby goats, and then she picked this one up and said it weighed more than the goats. Wow. So it was a fat rabbit. Mm-hmm. But here's the deal. When you're starting to work on things, now I love the spot healing brush, I love the clone tool and all that, but where things get a little funky is when they hit the edges of stuff. So if I have the spot healing brush, and I come over here, and let's say that post, there are things that are going to distract in your frame. Lines, recognizable objects, there's all kinds of stuff that can pull your attention away from what's going on. And the story is the girl and the rabbit. So if I take the spot healing brush, it'll be great for taking care of that line right there, that fence line right there, no problem. But when I get over here to the edge and I try to get this post out of the way, what usually happens is it tries to blend and it gives you a little bit of smearing and something like that. Well, what a lot of people don't realize is that they'll use the spot healing brush, the healing brush, and the clone stamp tool, but they miss out on one very effective tool, especially when it deals with the edges. And I always go up here, I grab my lasso tool, and I just come in and I drag right down here, and I select around that. Now if I go to Shift Delete and pull up my fill menu, and I make sure instead of usually default, it's like black or foreground color, something like that. If I go content aware and hit OK, it does a much better job of cleaning up stuff that's on the edges. Do you see how it doesn't give you that smearing? I've got a couple little retouches that I need to do right here. Let's hit that and then come down here and hit this line now that I'm back into my spot healing brush. And it does a very quick job of that. But if I was going to try to do this and build this with a clone stamp tool or something like that, it would take a little bit. Now here's the other side. Whenever you're cloning, look for repeating patterns. The eye is always picking up on patterns, and you can see there's a little bit, this dot goes with that dot here. Especially bright and dark things our eyes pick up. So I'm just going to add a little chaos by just hitting that area with the spot healing brush to kind of knock away any repeating patterns. Now I come over here, and the same thing. This box just doesn't need to be in there because it's just pulling our eye over there and it's not helping tell the story. Now hit Shift Delete, Content Aware, OK, and let it, Photoshop kind of do its magic. And it's going to churn away, and it does a pretty darn good job. Now all I need to do is do it a couple more times. I'm going to do it in sections. Just hit Shift Delete Return. And then I'm going to do Shift Delete Return right here. And now if I deselect, you see I just got a couple little goobers there that sometimes that's just something going on with the video display. So they're not really there, they're just pretending they're there. So don't worry about those. But even finally, this picnic table up here, I can actually knock these things out in about 30 seconds using that versus using my cloning tools. And so it does a pretty good job. I would finally come in here, let's try it one more time. And then once it takes care of the lion's share of that, then that's when I go back and I'd start hitting it with the clone stamp tool, the spot healing brush. And I even went so far, you know, I always have stuff baked in the oven. So then I start going here, let's get rid of, I showed you the final reveal. So I start building this in and then I start toning it a little. I bring it all into Camera Raw and I smooth it out using my blur filters to really shape the image so that it's telling the story of this girl and this bunny versus all the other junk in there. Let's see if I can get rid of those little goobers. There they go. I knew they were just hanging in there for no reason. So here's the before, and then after a couple quick little swipes with the lasso tool and a little toning and a little filtering with the blur filters, I get something like that. It's a much cleaner, crisper story that doesn't have all those distractions. A lot of times you don't realize when you see a picture like this how many things are pulling your eye away. You go here, but then you go, all right, even these bright areas down here, this here, this here, this here. Now look at how much it settles down as soon as I do that. It's all about the girl and the bunny. And that's what we need to do as Photoshoppers, is realize how we can use it to craft the story to tell what we want to say. And so using the lasso tool and content-aware fill is going to be a very helpful thing to do, especially on things that hit the edges of the frame.
I just have to say about that content-aware, you know, for those of us that have been using Photoshop long enough, like I've been using it since version 2, before content-aware came along, you have no idea the headache it would have been to achieve such a thing. It wasn't impossible, but my gosh, you would have spent a tremendous amount of time. The technology behind content-aware is one of the most amazing things I've seen in Photoshop come along in a long time.
We've met the engineer who came up with content-aware, and I wanted to kiss him on the lips. And if he wouldn't have freaked out, I probably would have, because content-aware is one of my favorite things in Photoshop.
It's amazing technology, and it's all over. It's probably more places than you realize. It's actually in the content-aware fill. There's a few tools that have the content-aware feature built in. So it really is a very powerful feature. So if you're brand new to Photoshop, we have paved the way for you to make it a lot easier. But just trust me, it was way, way different way back when. All right, we are going to take a quick break. We're going to come right back. I've got a little bit of a 3D thing for you. We've got other things to talk about, so stay right here on Photoshop User TV.
Hey guys, Scott Kelby here, and I want to invite you to a very special celebration. As you may know, Adobe's flagship program, Photoshop, turns 25 years old this year. And to celebrate RC, me, and the Photoshop guys, we're hosting a webinar where we'll be showing you the top 25 things you need to know, some hidden secrets in Photoshop, and some of the coolest things that have been added over these years. Now, please come and join us March 19th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time for a whole lot of fun as we celebrate Adobe Photoshop's 25th anniversary. We'll see you there.
All right, we are back at Photoshop User TV. Now, if you are watching this show on the day it's released, which is the 19th today, assuming today, we're actually filming this weeks before, but if you are watching this on the 19th, tonight.
No, this is live.
This is live, yes, semi-live. Tonight, on the 19th, we are having a special webcast celebrating 25 years of Photoshop. Photoshop turned 25 this year. 25 years, can you believe it? Wow. Unbelievable. So we are having a special webcast with me and the rest of the Photoshop guys, Pete, and everybody's going to be there. We're going to be doing all kinds of cool stuff, reflecting on our years of using Photoshop and sharing a lot of cool techniques. So be sure to tune in for that at 7 o'clock tonight, I believe.
Yes, Eastern time.
Tonight, and that's if you're watching this show on the 19th. Yep. So if you're watching this show on the 23rd,
you can still find it. We've already done it, so you can
we've
go
already
track
done it. Go look for it, but tonight it will be live if you're watching it on the day of. Also, we have another thing to talk to you about, and this is a Kelby One subscribers thing. Pete, what do you have?
Well, first of all, I think it's kind of cool that both Photoshop and I celebrate 25 years at the same time.
Yes, it is.
We're the same age.
Yeah.
It's crazy. No. That one died. If you're a member of Kelby One, and we strongly urge you to be part of our group because we love our members. We've got lots of great stuff for you. And it's a little teaser for you so that maybe you want to join. But Mia has just put together, we call it the Backstage Pass, where you can see what goes on behind closed doors here at Kelby. She takes you on a tour of the whole new facility that we've got. She actually puts on rollerblades with 2 GoPros and rolls throughout the company and interviews Scott and some other folks. And it's just a great way to see a little bit more about what's going on in the Kelby One community. So if you're not a member of the Kelby One community, make sure you go check it out. You can simply go to Kelby One and kick the tires, see what's going on there. And then if you want to know more about the community, just scroll down to the bottom. And it's not right down there, but if I was on the main page, it would say community at the bottom that you could go check it out. So anyway, go check it out. That's kelby1.com and become a member. Come join us.
And that Backstage Pass is, of course, going to be a monthly thing. We're going to be doing it to keep everybody updated on what's going on and what's new for all the Kelby One subscribers out there.
It's kind of a sneaky little secret handshake with us and the members. It's
we should put something secret in there.
Come on.
Yeah. Something to identify people when they're out in the world, you know, because they're all over the place.
Speaking of the secret handshake, I have a feeling that Corey's going to do something 3D for us.
All right, this is my new 3D handshake. Are you ready? I don't have one, I'm kidding. All right, actually I'm doing a 3D thing. This is by request. I had somebody write in asking me about something I'd done a while back about these kind of creative reflections with 3D objects that I had done with photos. So thought I'd go ahead and do that again because in the end it's a pretty cool result and it's a little tricky to get there, but once you get it, it's really fun to play around with. So I have an image here that I'm going to start with. And I'm going to go ahead and just make this image a 3D postcard. So just go to the 3D menu, go to New Mesh from Layer and choose Postcard. Now what this does is it simply puts your flat 2-dimensional image in 3-dimensional space. So you notice I can rotate it around and do all that to it. So next thing is I'm going to create a new blank layer. And I'm just going to go to that 3D menu again and then again New Mesh from Layer. But this time we're going to go to Mesh Preset. Here's where you find all your primitive shapes like the cone and donut. We always needed the 3D donut, you know. But what we want in this case is the cylinder. I'm going to go ahead and create that, and it's going to create this simple cylinder shape here. Now, what I need is just the cylinder shape itself. I don't need the top and bottom to be closed like this. I'm going to open up my 3D panel and my properties panel here. And you'll see right here we have our cylinder, and it's broken down into the individual meshes, which is the cylinder material, the top and the bottom. Now I'm going to go ahead and select top and bottom and bring the opacity to 0 on both of those. So basically we're looking straight through our cylinder object there. There we go. Now, I'm also going to go in and change the cylinder material color. So I select cylinder material, and then in the properties panel we're going to go to the diffuse property here. And let's go and choose Edit Texture next to Diffuse. And it's going to give this a black fill. This is one of those critical things, and this is something I think that this person was running into, is that when you're going for mirrored reflections on 3D objects, the base object needs to be black. Because when you make your reflections 100%, it's going to reflect it on that surface. I know that sounds weird. You'd think white or something like that, but white and grays just make it brighter. So you want it to be just black shape, and then you're going to go into the surface properties here and bring the reflection to 100%. Now we don't need any shine here, so I'm actually going to bring the shine to 0. So key points. Your object needs to be black. Your reflection needs to be 100%. So now I need to merge these objects. So I've put my 3D, or my image in a 3D layer, and I've got my shape in a 3D layer. I'm just going to press Command E, and it's going to merge those layers down. Now, I'm just going to shift my camera view here, just by backing that up and then rotating my view here so you can see better what's going on. So we've got our photo, and there's our cylinder. Now I'm going to make the cylinder bigger and just do like that, and even make it a little bit longer. Because what we want to do, if I set my default camera.
That's totally tubular.
So now what we're doing essentially is looking down the tube at our object here. Yes, it is tubular.
Holy moly.
So you can see that now. So obviously there's way too much light going on in this image here. And the reason for that is, and this is another thing I think people are getting tripped up on, is when you create, excuse me, the postcard, it creates an all-white image-based light here. As you can see, the IBL is solid white, and that just projects a cast of white light on the image. So I'm actually going to go ahead and turn that off right here, and you'll notice the entire image goes black. So you go back to the light section here, and you'll notice there's no lights applied to this. So we're going to create a new point light. Now, point light is just a small little wireframe light in there, and that I'm just going to push inside of the tube. And let's just use these tools to nudge our object a little bit closer. There we go. So now I can actually rotate my view slightly and just get this kind of in an interesting angle, something like this. And then all you have to do is do a render. So I'm going to go to 3D and go down here and choose render and watch the magic happen. Are you ready? Watch this.
I'm waiting.
It might happen. It might. There it is. So now what it's doing is it's creating this distorted reflection around that cylinder shape based on the settings we've applied to that image there. So you're getting this really kind of cool abstract look about it. And it isn't just photos. I mean, photos of people looks pretty cool, but I've done it with images of fire and just random abstract elements. And you can do some pretty cool things with it. Now, if you don't like what you're seeing or you want to adjust some things, just go ahead and hit escape and stop the render. And let's go ahead and take our image and let's just nudge it down a little bit. Maybe we see more of his, or just his face there. Maybe even scale it down a little bit. And maybe we want to change the angle slightly. Let's just go ahead and change our view and then just shift this over a little bit. And then we'll do another render. And you're going to get a completely different reflection altogether. And it isn't just cylinder shapes. You can try a box shape or just all kinds of different things. So that's giving me something pretty interesting there. So there's a lot of really interesting things you can do just with reflections and objects in Photoshop with your two-dimensional images. So hopefully that clears it up for that person that had a question. Yes, there are a couple of things that can trip you up as far as the lighting. So be sure that your object is solid black, that your reflection's at 100%, and make sure you turn off that image-based light, because if that is still on and it's basically blowing out all the detail, that could be the problem there. So there you have it, creative 3D reflections in Photoshop.
Yeah, it turns out that there are only a few things, just like everything in Photoshop, there are a couple key steps, but if you're not sure what to do, those can trip you up.
Yep.
But once you can get over that hurdle,
it's always a little thing,
right?
But it makes a big difference.
The whole idea of the black versus, see, I automatically go to 50% gray, because I'm thinking that's a neutral color.
Yep.
And I wouldn't have thought to go black, so.
Yep.
So anyway,
that,
hey, speaking of the Peach Pit deal, we've got a Peach Pit deal for you this week. It is called The Last Layer, and it is a great book on digital printing and all fine art quality, mixed media. It's by Bonnie Pierce Lotka with our great buddy Russell Brown on the cover. We love Russell. We love, that's a beautiful book. And you can get 40% off of that on peachpit.com/Kelby1. You just need to make sure to enter the coupon code Kelby1 when you do that on the checkout, and you'll get 40% off that book.
And I will say that what's cool about that book, is I forgot to mention this last week, is that it shows a lot of really practical techniques. It's like if you take paint or just something you can do in real and then take a picture of it and then manipulate it further in Photoshop. That's the kind of techniques it has in his book. It's really, really interesting stuff. So, but how? Oh no, we're on to giveaway. I'm sorry.
Yep. Well, Corey, how?
How do we give away stuff? I don't know.
Well, Corey, we're going to go to the Kelby1 website. We're going to choose from the drop-down menu, Photoshop User TV, fill in all that great information, leave us comments, questions, jokes, etc., and then hit send now, and you'll be eligible to win our giveaway this week, which is Photoshop for Lightroom users, one of Scott's brand new books. And so if you are a Lightroom user, photographer, and you want to get better at your Photoshop work, this is a great book for you. It's basically focusing on the things that photographers want to use in Photoshop and doesn't get into all the extra funky stuff. I guarantee you there's going to be no 3D in this book. So that one's for you right here.
That
Corey
makes me
will never
sad.
read. But you can win that right there.
But if you want 3D, you can actually get, well, I don't have a copy of my book here, but Down and Dirty Tricks for Design, Volume 2. A lot of 3D stuff in there. All right.
All right, and with that, we're going to wrap it up for today. Thank you so much for being with us here on Photoshop User TV. We will see you back here next week. And if you're watching it live, don't forget our Photoshop 25th anniversary tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Eastern Standard Time. I can't remember daylight.
We're in the Eastern time zone.
We're in the Eastern time zone, so check it out then. We will hopefully see you here tonight. Take care, everybody.
Until then.